Eastern screech owls are the second smallest owl in the Northeast. These guys range from the Atlantic Ocean to the Rocky Mountains, from southern Quebec and Ontario all the way down into Florida, Texas, even to Mexico. They come in two color phases, red and gray. Gray tends to be found a little more commonly up north, red more commonly down south because they blend in better with the trees, with the color of the bark of the trees, um, and they tend to be very cryptic. Screech owls can live to be, on average, in the wild, 8 to 9 years old. In captivity, they've made it to as old as maybe 10 to 12 years old. But if you think about it, the ones that make it to 10 to 12 are the imprints that want to be here. These guys they went through all kinds of trauma to get them to me, and now they're wild birds in captivity. They don't want to be here. But unfortunately, they can't be released or they'll die. So this is probably, they're lucky if they're going to make 5, 6, maybe 7 years old. And I would say they're probably they're at least 5 working on 6 now. So they're on the far end of their lifespan, I think. I'd be happy if I find out I'm wrong. All right, finally, these guys, what do they eat? Well, if I look at the big Eurasian eagle owl, they eat things like mice, rabbits, squirrels, pheasants, snakes, lizards, fawn, fox, little dogs, cats. If I look at Tessie, Tessie is basically strictly a mouser. She'll eat mice, she'll grab maybe some rats. The screech owls, they grab a lot of insects, June bugs, moths. They'll also grab mice and maybe a few small birds that maybe don't tuck in tuck in a little late before as it's getting dark. They waited a little too long. Probably the biggest thing a screech owl can pull down is maybe a flying squirrel, which is still considerably large for them if you think about it. That is about it. Logical.
Oh,
and he does look a lot smaller. I gotta say he's a male. You can see the size difference. May have noticed both screech owls had something wrong with them. They're both rescue birds. They both came from West Virginia. Pugsley has a partially amputated wing, and he's always blinking because he probably had neurological damage done because he got hit by a car. Wednesday, her left eye, the retina is detached, so she's blinked in her left eye. Both birds came from West Virginia from a rehab center down there. Both had been hit by a car. And probably what happened, and this happens a lot with poor raptors, is some knucklehead was probably driving by. They threw their garbage out of the car. The smelly garbage drew mice and rodents into the road. The owl swooped down to grab the mice or the rodent, and then the owl got hit. And that happens more frequently than not with birds of prey. All right, this is Mortimer. Mortimer is a Harris hawk. He's obviously not an owl. Some big differences between hawks versus owls. Hawks obviously have the eyes in the front of the head. Pardon me, owls have the eyes in the front of the head. Very chatty today. Owls in the front, hawks are on the side. Owls, they have feathers running right down their legs, right down their toes, where hawks, their tarsus, the legs are naked, and their toes are naked. They also, when they eat, their food goes directly into a storage tank in their neck called the crop, where owls don't have a crop. All right. Other things, owls don't build nests. They generally steal nests, like falcons. Hawks build nests. So there are little differences. And it's interesting because the 3 different evolutionary branches, the hawks, which include the eagles, the kites, is one group. The owls is another group, and the falcons is a third group. And they all All right. And they all kind of diverged or converged together to form the raptors. But they come from three main different evolutionary pathways. And you can hear Mortimer, he's a little bit snippy, a little snarly. He's quite vocal today. Partly because he's got a camera in his face, he's not used to that, and partly because it's been a while since he's been out. Harris hawks are found down in the southwestern part of the continent. You know, they're like southwestern Texas across to California. Actually, most of them are down in Mexico, and some of them are even in South America. These guys, they're the most social birds of prey in the world. They actually hunt in groups of 5, 10, even 20. And they work like a team. They work like, they hunt like wolves. They have an alpha male, they have an alpha female. So they actually gang up on their prey. You feel kind of sorry for the prey when they hunt. So what they do is one or two will fly in, especially in the deserts where you have the cacti. They'll fly and they'll run underneath the cactus and they chase their prey out the backside. And the prey thinks they're escaping, but the rest of the flock is on the backside waiting for them. So they've learned their behavior is adapted so that they can actually protect themselves from starvation and in getting themselves impaled in the spiny cacti. And we'll see if we can make him look a little bit more presentable here. There you go, much more presentable. I know, it's been a while since we've done all this. Okay, there you are. Oh, hooded. Mortimer is hooded now. We put the hood on him. What it does, it keeps him calm, keeps him relaxed. I don't want him thrashing around. I don't want him breaking feathers, getting all stressed out, hurting himself. So the hood kind of protects him from getting injured. The only time I usually put the hood on Mortimer is when I'm traveling with him or if I'm in a situation where I'm worried that he might, get stressed out. At home, he can free fly around in his room. He's got different perches. He's got a water bath. He's not tethered. He can move around all he wants. But again, it's only when we're traveling because I don't want him injured. When Mortimer eats, he lowers his wings and he splays his tail out. That's called mantling. They mantle to cover their food, to protect their food, because they don't want some Johnny-come-lately coming and swooping in and stealing their food, because they made themselves vulnerable to attack, expend energy, that type of thing, and they don't want somebody else stealing their food. Also, hawks, owls, eagles, falcons, they all cast a pellet. A pellet is basically a fur ball, and it shows what they've eaten. All right, this is Phineas. Phineas is a falcon. He's the third evolutionary branch of the falcons. And you can hear him, he's crying, he's basically calling for food. He's expecting to be fed. I tried to feed him, but he tried to fly with it, because that's what falcons do. These guys are built for speed. Long, pointed wings, super fast. Phineas is also imprinted on me. I got him when he was about 2 weeks old. You can see he's got his head bobs, he's got long wings, long tail. He is built for speed. He also, his beak has a notch in it. It's called the terminal tooth. It's used to dispatch his prey very quickly. In closing, here are a few final shots of Phineas as he was a baby and growing up. He's also imprinted on me. And you notice that big bulge in the neck? When he's a baby, that's the crop full of food. Owls don't have that. You wouldn't see that in an owl, but the hawks, the falcons, the eagles, they all have a crop. All right, folks, and lastly, we do a bunch of different projects up here, and we're always inviting people to come out and participate. And if any of you want to come out and participate, maybe learn more about the birds of prey and that type of thing, definitely let us know. But if we start from, I'm just going to walk you through my projects. In the wintertime, we're removing snowy owls from airports because they can get hit. Then as we come into the spring, we're working on breeding northern goshawks. We're trying to figure out what's going on with our goshawks up here. Then early summer, we're through late summer, we're working with the kestrels. I have 150 kestrel boxes out. We've been managing the kestrel population. This will be our 19th season. And finally, last but not least, in the fall, we work with the saw-whet owls as they migrate through. And you're welcome to come participate on any of these projects.